Tinubu sacks serving chiefs and appoint new serving chief with also acting IG and also the CG of custom. Good morning and welcome to the Dailies on Eco Television International, where we keep you updated with what is happening from the Nigerian newspaper. I am Sarah Elisha Dasham and Rachel Tansy is here with me too. Good morning.
Morning, Sarah.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. Let's move straight into the paper. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube. Please do well to drop your comment or your thought on any story that is of interest to you, and later on the program we will open the phone line so we can also hear your thoughts about the stories that are trending on the paper this morning. We will be starting with this day newspaper.
On this day newspaper, in break from military rule in line with global best practices, its police-led security apparatus. Rabadu police intelligence veteran is now the NSA. You can find the details on page 25. CBN plans more currency measures to stabilize Naira. New service chiefs acting IG and CG customs, and we can have their pictures there on the paper. Tinubu sacks all serving chiefs, IGs, CGs, customs, and advisors. The writer flowing the story appoints Bala Usman, Musawa, Gunel, Ibrahim, and others as SAs. Dissolves boards of parastatals, agencies, and government-owned coins. You can find the details on page 5. We have a picture story boosting U.S.-Nigeria relations, where we can see the president and then the United States Assistant Secretary of State. At the downside of the paper, federal government takes urgent steps to avert oil vessel withdrawal over tax charges. You can find the details on page 29, and that's all the news on this day newspaper.
On Daily Sun newspaper, IPOB alleges plot by the Southeast politician to abduct its leader in diaspora. Only Kanu can recommend his own doctor, says AJ Marco. You can find that story on page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. The big story: Hurricane Tinubu sack name serving chiefs, with the rider appoints Ribadu, NSA, CG Musa, CDS, TA Labaja, CO, that's the chief of the army, and also we have EA Ogada, the CNHS. Then we have MB Abubakar, the CAS, Kayode, we have the acting IGP, Adeyeni Adewale, the CG, custom, we have Hadiza Usman as the advisor. We have the picture of all of these people, so you can do well to check that story on page 6. Tinubu to attend the Global Financial Park Summit in Paris, which is starting on Thursday, so you can read detail of that story on page 28. ASU tackles federal government on student loan, with the rider content 90% of Nigerian students won't meet requirement demand student grant instead of a loan. And on drug war, 31,675 arrested, 5,147 convicted, 6.3 we have kilo of drugs, and then 6 in 29 months coming from Malwa. And on fuel subsidy, federal government resumed dialogue with Labour, with the rider court reaffirmed order restraining NLC TUC from embarking on strike. You can find that story on page 27. And we have on the MPAN congratulates the NGE president, urges him to uphold professionalism and ethics. IBB Abdulsalami, Jonathan Atiku, Obi, and others, and Gunai Topiski. You can find that story on page 6. And on the presidential election tribunal hearing, INEC Amazon engineer clash on non-transmission of result. With the rider, there was no network glitch, says the engineer. Network failure responsible, insists Electoral Commission. So they tend to be different side of the story. So you tend to read more detail of that story on page 6. And coming from Abia North, Kalu lights up 48 community. You find more detail of that story on page 26, and that's all on Daily Sun newspaper.
On Nigerian Tribune, federal government Labour set 8-week deadline to agree on intervention measures. Subcommittee to decide on gas conversion, minimum wage, and others still on fuel subsidy removal. You can find the details on page 2. Boards of parastatals, agencies, institutions dissolved. Only presidential election result could not be uploaded, INEC presiding officers tell court. Obi Labour Party accused INEC of refusing to make documents available. The details can be found on page 28. And the big story on Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu retires service chiefs, IGP, CG, Customs, names Ribadu, NSA. The writer flowing that story, Major General Christopher Musa as CDS, Major General Labaja as COAS. Then we have Rear Admiral Ogala, Chief of Naval Staff, Ebotokun, Acting IGP, Major General Odedeye, Chief of Defense Intelligence, and Bashir Adeneyi, Acting Controller General of the Customs. And you can find the details on page 2, and we have their pictures also on the paper. At the downside of the paper, Nigeria's external reserves down by $438 million as Naira settles at 770.38 per dollar. You can find the details on page 6. Tinubu meets Bill Gates. Dangote pledges to prioritize health, Nigerian safety. Data protection law breach, banks, telcos, others to pay huge fine. You can find the details on page 6, and that's all news on Nigerian Tribune.
Before we move next, I think it's important that we applaud the president for the swift move. Of course, we saw from the very moment he got into office, he has been working tirelessly from one arrest to one bill being signed, the likes of the student loan and then the data protection law. And then we have seen that he has sacked all the serving chief. Of course, I guess they didn't see this coming, or Nigerians especially did not see this coming. But then in a time where we are having security being a big challenge to us in this country, we've been seeing attacks in various communities, in various states. We saw that in Imo, in Ondo. We saw during the weekend in Kaduna, a monarch was killed and 4 of his kids. In Plateau State, we saw different, local government have been attacked, and even curfew have been, been put in those communities. So we will say that this is really very, very timely at a time like this. I remember during the former president, that was Buhari, there was also a time where the serving chiefs were being sacked, and then we have fresh ones. But then Nigerians were hoping that with the appointment of these fresh or new serving chiefs, we'll see something different in the security. But then really there was nothing much that was done. So we are hoping that with this new appointment coming of these new serving chiefs, we'll be able to see changes. We remember there was attack in various correctional facilities. Nothing was being done about that. Letters are flying left, right, and center. And then what is even more worrisome is the fact that with the NIN, it's expected that they tell the communication companies to be able to track all of these people. But then you begin to ask questions. If we're able to track them with the name, how come no arrest is being done? We keep seeing attack coming in. So we just hope that this is not just another appointment, but Nigerians will actually just want to see the work being done at the end of the day. So we will congratulate all of these new serving chiefs, and we hope that they get into work with immediate effect, because right now security is a top priority in the country right now. So we hope to see them working.
Sure, we expect the same way the president have been on his toes doing the necessary things. We believe that those he have appointed will also do the same thing, because I believe his leadership by example. So I just want to see this consistency for the next 4 years. If this fire can burn this way, in a very serious way like this, then I believe that if there could be this seriousness with the issues and the matters of Nigeria consistently for a period of 4 years with this current administration, then I believe that we will see a significant amount of growth in the country. So it's not just about the beginning. We are happy, but we are hoping that this will be to the end. It's not just something that would start hot and then become cold along the line. We want to see this this consistency, Stella, for me, is just the consistency that this kind of fire in attacking the issues in the country will continue for as long as this administration will be in power.
Yeah, so just like we say, we hope to see the fire, and I just hope that the serving chief will have the same fire,
yes.
the same,
True.
the way the president is actually
Yes.
burning to see things working. I hope that they have the same thing, because we see so many attacks being done
Yes.
at the end of the day. So we
True.
hope to see all of that. Well, and that's all. I think that's the next paper we should take, which is the Guardian newspaper. And the first story on the Guardian says, applause as Tinubu fires serving chief, dissolve board of agency. We still have the picture story of those who have been appointed. And then downside of the paper, we have federal government, Labour fix 8 weeks for conclusion of subsidy removal talks. We find detail of that story on page 6. Tinubu pledges to prioritize Nigerians' well-being, partners Dangote and Bill Gates. You can find that story on page 3. On road diversion, motorists, commuters decry unending suffering on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Ethno-religious regional sentiment as Senate seek principal officers. And still on the presidential election tribunal, Tinubu APC failed to stop the APM petition. INEC staff recount Beaver's failure. You can find that on page 3. Eric Air shareholders trade accusation over 120 billion naira alleged fraud. Eric Air shareholders trade accusation over 120 billion naira alleged fraud. You can find that business story on page 15 of the Guardian newspaper, and that's all on the Guardian.
On New Telegraph, diversification, Nigeria's export earning rise 38.7% to 279.64 billion naira. And our economy, CBN backs Tinubu on GDP growth target. The big story on New Telegraph, Tinubu sacks service chiefs, IGP, CG, customs, and others. You can find the details on page 2, 3, and 5. We have high charges, federal government meets shippers to avert vessel withdrawal. Exchange rate unification, electricity tariff in Nigeria may rise 30% by December. And Southern Kaduna leaders, El Rufai implemented jihadist agenda for 8 years. And we have air surgery, Oze Kome asks DSS to allow Kanu to see new doctors. Still on New Telegraph, on palliatives, federal government Labour set 8 weeks deadline to conclude dialogue. PDP leaders meet today to chart party's new direction. In Ebonyi, headers kill Ohanese's youth leaders, 71-year-old father and INEC staff, and abduct wife. You can find the details on page 6. TCM warns against converting transmission rod to shops and houses. CGN to judges, many high-profile cases come with irresistible gifts, urges them to avoid offering that can, urges them to avoid offerings that can put them in trouble. I never compromise my oath of office, says Justice Bukachua. You can find the details on page 3 and 4. We were unable to upload presidential poll results, INEC preceding officers tell tribunal. At the downside of the paper, we have a study that says testosterone safe for most older men. You can find the details on page 26, and that's all the news on New Telegraph.
On the Punch newspaper, federal government Labour set up minimum wage committee. You can find that on page 15. Airfare skyrocketed as exchange rate hit 702 naira per dollar. Tinubu woos foreign investors, meet Bill Gates, Airtel founder. You can find that story on page 14. Still on the new serving chief, Tinubu removes security chief, custom boss appoint Ribadu, Ebetoku, and others. With the rider Abubakar named Air Chief, Ogala heads the Navy, Ribadu now the NSA, custom gets acting CG, Usman Musawa, Senator Gumel Ibrahim appointed advisors, President travels to France. You can find all of that on page 2. Downside of the story of the paper story, we have on the tribunal again, Labour Party INEC lawyers clash over poll materials. Family demands justice for slain Lagos cop tackles the Nigerian Navy. You can find that on page 4 and 5. Pilgrims' fate uncertain as Saudi Arabia set to close airspace. You can find that also on page 21, and that's all on the Punch newspaper.
On Daily Independent, exchange rate seen closing 2023 at 700 naira to a dollar. Tribunal strikes out Adebutu suit against Abiodun. This is still on the Ogun Guba. You can find the details inside the paper. And the big story on Daily Independent, Tinubu names Ribadu NSA, Musa CDS, and Labaja COAS. The writer flowing the story, Ogala Naval Chief, Abubakar Air Chief, Ebetokun Acting IGP, Adewale Acting Controller General of Customs, Hadiza Bala Usman Special Advisor, approves dissolution of boards of parastatals agencies and others. Tinubu pledges to prioritize health and safety of Nigerians. NDLEA arrests 31,675 suspects, seizes 6.3 million kilograms of drugs in 29 months. Free floating of Naira holds prospect of reflating economy. This is a statement coming from Airtel. And we have a writer that says launches 5G rolls out services in 4 cities. Federal government targets $60 billion reserves in new economic policy directive. You can find the details on page 6. And on petrol subsidy removal, orders stopping NLC TUC from embarking on strike subsides coming from the court. Federal government labor resumed talks, raised committee on palliative salary adjustment for workers. At the downside of the paper, we have our debt less than 5% of total value before takeover. This is coming from Aricare shareholders. You can find the details on page 7, and that's all the news on Daily Independent.
On Voice of Liberty, Nigerian custom to start charging VAT on diesel import, which we saw has been on the paper, which is about 7.5%. So you can read more story or more detail of that story inside the paper. Exam for our Governor Yari hospitalized in London after losing Senate presidency despite spending $72 million. You find detail of that story inside the paper. Coming from Kanu, government to rehabilitate Asian wall with demolition debris. You can find all of that story inside the paper. President Tinubu retires all serving chiefs, advisors, appoint new ones, dissolve board of governor, parastatals, and MDAs. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the immediate retirement of all serving chiefs and Inspector General of the Police advisors, Controller General of Customs from service, as well as their replacement with immediate effect. You can find all of that story inside the paper. Tinubu off to France to attend Global Summit. You can find that story inside the paper. And on the student loan beneficiaries in other countries committing suicide over debts coming from the ASU. And on ministerial list, don't appoint ex-Northern governors, APC group urges Tinubu. And we have the last story here that says hard times loom as electricity tariffs set to increase by over 40% from July 1st. We saw the story from yesterday, and that's all on the paper. But on the issue of the student loan, Rachel, I don't know. ASU is of the opinion that rather than having a loan, let the government set grant, because they're giving example of other countries where as a result of loans students have to commit suicide just because they're unable to pay the loan. Yes, we know that there are certain criteria that the government set for students to be able to access it, which I think we spoke about it last week or so, where you need to have a guarantor in the civil service that have been working for over 12 years, or a lawyer who has been practicing for over 10 years, and then that person needs to be earning over 500,000 annually. And then also they give the fact that you'll be paying that money 2 years after your NYSC. That is 2 years after. So hopefully by then employment, you will be working to be able to pay that. But then ASU is of the opinion, with the way the country is presently, we have lots of youth that are graduating without job opportunities. And then how many students know a servant that is actually working for over, who have been working for over 12 years, and then still with the back and forth on minimum wage, how many people are earning up to that money and above. And I think it's really something that I think ASU and government should sit together. You remember we had when NAS even said they do not want ASU on the committee of the student loan, possibly because of one reason or the other. So a lot of back and forth of all of these, and then if we recall that it said this loan will be starting from September. So hopefully that'll be a new session in most federal universities for people who want to access to school, because the president said he do not want poverty to be the reason why people are unable to access that. And we remember you and I saying the fact that let us start from the grassroots. We're looking at the primary school, the secondary school, which is basically most times the hardest part. But then we've seen that the president actually targeted the tertiary institution, which he felt is very important, because we can link that to the reason why we're having insecurity, because people are idle, and then with a lot of things. But I hope that with this new serving chiefs that we're having, students will be secure to actually go to their class and attend. But then with this back and forth coming from ASU, some people will be of the opinion that maybe ASU is actually grieved because the federal government have not met some of their demands, and that is why all of this is coming. So right now it will be like, is ASU really for the student or against the student, or is there any hidden agenda behind all of this grant or loan that the government should give?
Sele, ASU is absolutely for the student, because they know the Nigerian system of education, they know what is obtainable in the universities, and they know what is the struggle. Now, let's not forget that this union of university is not by outsiders. Is by people in the system. So when ASU comes out and say what student needs are grants and not loan, I wouldn't agree less with them, because that is the fact. We make this very clear, Sele, that if we will be honest to ourselves and look at the issues in our education system, if the government is going to prioritize and tackle the problem of education, then you know that a loan is not what a Nigerian student need. If you're going to step in and help Nigerian student, it should come in the form of scholarships or grants. And we know grants are just where you'll be able to give certain waivers in certain aspect. A student can be able to qualify to get grants, maybe that could take 40% off of their school fees, 50%. Grants comes in different forms. However, this student in the future is not obligated to pay this grant back. Seller, if we look at the current situation of this country and with our growing unemployment rate, we don't think that a loan is the best option. And so if ASU are coming out and saying grants are what students need, I don't believe they're coming from the side of not wanting the best for the students, because that is what I shouldn't be leaving university thinking that I have a student loan and debt to settle. So the truth is that if we're going to do our studies and to know that for countries that give loans to students have very high college fees, and people are wallowing in those debts. People are living years, 5 years, 10 years after graduation, settling this debt. So if ASU said that there have been suicidal victims because of student loans, it is not a lie, because these loans are huge for a lot of these students that were able to access it in countries that give this student loan. So imagine you come out of the system and perhaps the first job you were able to back is not paying you up to a minimum wage. We have a lot of graduates with degrees, masters, that are barely having jobs that are paying them more than 50,000. Some just found something to be doing and it's 20,000 take home, and then you are still having the load of student loan to pay. Seller, it's going to be frustrating, it's going to be difficult, and it's just hardship on another level. So if ASU should come out and say what Nigerian student needs are grants, that is the truth, Sele. What Nigerian university student needs are not loans, Sele. It's more of grant. If you're truly out to help with the hardship, not that you're compiling a futuristic problem for these students, then if you're trying to solve a problem as it is now in the present, then I believe a grant will definitely and always be a better option, because the student will be able to school with a free man and not having a thought that in the future I have a debt to settle the federal government of Nigeria.
Well, and that's all on the Voice of Liberty.
On the Nation newspaper, Labour Party OB, INEC lawyers clash at tribunal. Atiku calls 3 witnesses. Subsidy palliative plan ready August. TUC NLC optimistic. Naira slumps to 777 Naira per dollar. President for Global Summit in Paris. Adebutu response struck out. You can find the details on page 6. And the big story on the Nation newspaper, Tinubu appoints service chiefs, CDS, NSA, IG, CGC. Board of Government Agencies, Department, institutions dissolved. More special advisors, SSAs named. Still on the Nation newspaper, Forex policy will open floodgate of foreign investment. The right of knowing the story, Telcos International CEO Dangote OK reforms, Bill Gates meets president. You can find the details on page 4. And at the downside of the paper, Ezekome allowed doctors access to Kanu. Hotcon seeks payment of 800 billion naira. You can find the details inside the paper. And we have a picture story with it. There is a quote that says the service chiefs, the acting IG and the acting CG of Customs are to act in their positions pending their confirmation in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You can find the details inside the paper on page 2. And that's all the news on the Nation newspaper.
All right, before we move further to other papers, we'd like to take a break at this moment to hear what your perspective are, what your thoughts are concerning stories that have been on the paper this morning, especially regarding to the retirement of the serving chief and also the appointment of new serving chiefs. So we hope to hear your thoughts when we're back from the break. Please stay tuned.
People are engaged with happenings in their country. They will better understand where the government is going wrong.
And once they do, they are better equipped to combat the problem as well as prefer solutions.
On Nigeria Now, every Monday to Friday at 3:30 p.m., we bring you
analysis of happenings in politics,
crime,
security,
and government policies.
Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the Dailies on your winning station, and we'll be looking at various stories, especially with the retirement of serving chiefs and appointment of new ones. And we'd love to hear what your takes are, what your thoughts are concerning other stories that are on the paper. And our number is displayed on your screen at this moment. Please do well to call us, and remember, please, to turn down the volume of your TV set when you call us. We are really interested in what you have to say, but with your volume high, we will not be able to hear you clearly. So please endeavor to reduce the volume of your TV set and also to limit possibly 30 seconds so other viewers or other callers can also get to air their view on stories that are of interest to them. And you can drop your comment on our Facebook and YouTube handles, and then we'll do well to read your comment here on the show. Or hello, good morning. Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Good morning, Mrs. Saleh, and good morning to your co-anchor, Rachel. This is Sam. I'm calling from Buhari here in the FCT.
All right.
And my take is on the federal government labor union setting 8 weeks to come up with the palliative issue. But before I go on that, please permit me to make some little correction to yesterday. A caller called in yesterday to make some aspersions on some of the earlier callers. I want to let my co-caller know, that co-caller, that this government from 2015 today affect many of the citizens differently. Why some are enjoying the situation because it hit them on a positive, majority are being hit very badly. And those who are hit very badly should be allowed to do their cry. Why many of us call on this program, we are only doing our civic responsibility. a philosophy said that the voices and feeling of the people is the soil of policy. So in a civilized climate, the government listens to the cries of the people upon which policies are made. And so when we call this way, we are only lending our voice to widen the scope of democracy that allow people to have their say. Then those who have the authority will have their way. So we should be allowed to be able to make our contribution and do our cry, hoping that the government will listen. And that is even the whole essence of Equa TV, allowing us to call in. Because when feelings are bottled up, it lost the issue. So coming back to the 8 weeks of subsidy, the question is that what happened to those who are on the downtrodden? It is not my statistic that 130 million Nigeria became poor between 2015 and now, even before Tinubu came on board. And now with the rise in the currency, in the forex, and then here it is, they are saying 8 weeks. How do Nigerians survive? Now look at the, on top of that is the electricity bill. Why wouldn't the electricity bill wait until all these palliative and worker salaries are increased? In Spain, just because of the war in Ukraine, that local purchase, another thing increased by 0.5%. The government had to increase the salary simultaneously so that people are not made to suffer. So why would the ordinary man feeling is never always considered? The corruption that pervaded in NNPC and others, the subsidy regime that the people 2 billion have not been remedied. Those people have not been called upon. So we will continue to call from this end for government to listen to the ordinary people. If you are leading people, when you look back, everybody has that. Who are you leading? And so people who this policy will affect, they don't care whether this salary, this oil are sold in the 1,000 per litre. They should look at the people. The people are the strength. So for us, we will continue to make this cry to let them know that whatever you are doing, think of the ordinary people. Because the ordinary people is the strength of this country. You cannot keep on there. You say 8 weeks, and people have been going through this thing. Now the court is now reminding the NLC that the suspension of strike is in force because they are part of the establishment, and we cannot keep on stop talking because we feel the pain. And so they should try and see how they will listen to the Nigerian people. We suffer to go and elect, and when we elect, we expect that something better will go. But our dream continue to be thrown into the dustbin. I just pray that the God will have mercy upon us, but we won't stop crying. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sam. You really highlighted a very important point. What then happens to the common man in between these 8 weeks?
Yeah.
And then electricity tariff is going to start from July 1st.
Yes.
So 8 weeks is like talking about hopefully August before the common man will know what. And then in August, that's when people are hoping to do the best. Harvest are supposed to start by then. But then we have the common man that's not even started planting. And it's already the planting season. A lot of things are happening, looking at the prices of foodstuff, and everything is being affected because of this first subsidy. So I think that it's important that the government should look into this. If the weeks can be shortened, if something can be done, I mean, a swift, fast measures that can actually reduce the pain of the commoner. And no wonder yesterday I said, let us even see state governors coming into the aid of their own citizens, indigents of their own state. What can we do as a state to make sure that people don't really feel this impact that much? And we have the likes of other states that have reduced working days. So of going 5 days, you go 3 days, and then you get to save money. The time is coming where you don't even have to go to the market to buy anything. Business will now be at home because people cannot even afford the transportation anymore. True. So we hope that the government look into it.
Yes, it's this kind of situation that I feel someone is sleeping somewhere. 8 weeks is too long, Sele. On the inauguration speech of the president, that was the very day the effectiveness of the fuel subsidy removal was felt, because the following day fuel stations were closed down, and then the next day we were already having the fuel pump prices going high, and immediately transport fares went high also. It was from that very day that the people in charge of disbursing palliatives and reducing the hardship for people were supposed to start working.
All right. Hello, please turn down the volume of your TV sets. Good morning.
Hello.
Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Apostle Prosper.
All right, Mr. Prosper. Good morning.
I have done so. I've done that.
All right, thank you.
It's completely off. There
All
is
right.
nothing on the screen.
Okay.
Yes, well. I want to thank God again for today. Number one, I want to commend the government for the change in the military architecture in Nigeria. I want to thank God for a brand new day, really. I want to begin by saying that it's expected that the military hierarchy be changed. And the joyous aspect of it is the fact that he was able to spread the offices or different offices to the different regions. So no region will say they are not included. The Naval is from the east. I think the CMD is from the north. The NSA is from the north. The others, Yoruba. Then we have one from south. I think somewhere around Calabar or thereabout. So it's well spread. And then other appointment. We are still trusting and seeing other appointment that will come up so that everybody will feel in that all-inclusiveness, in the Nigerian project. But nevertheless, it's not just about the appointment. It's not just all about appointing people. I think we need a Nigeria where somebody will be able to travel freely as it used to be, from the north to south, from the south to the west, from the east to the north to other places, without feeling fear of being harassed on the way by terrorists or bandits or criminal elements. We need a safe Nigeria. I think they all have a tall order, apart from whatever the president would have given them. We as Nigerians are expectant. We are giving them a tall order to secure, the territorial landscape of Nigeria, to make Nigeria habitable, a place where people can be able to go about with their, to do their free business, whether to the east, west, south, north, a place in Nigeria where we can close our eyes in the evening and be sure we wake up in the morning. A place where that the security is important. We have it. That is number one. Number two is also in the area of this tariff by NEPA. I feel it's too hasty. They should have been able to hold on. There are too many pain already in the land. So when they are piling it up, they want to keep the Nigerian people. The fuel subsidy was removed. People are still grappling with the untold hardship as a fallout of that. And then you are now coming again. Another arm of government is coming again to say they want to increase tariff, giving some fleeting excuses. I should think government should be sensitive enough to know how to roll out some of these things. Though they are honest, they are expected, and there are things that must be. But I think we should be careful not to overburden the masses, so that we could have also a peaceful environment. Having said that, I just want to still appeal to all of us Nigerians, while we are crying our hearts, but at the same time we should be positive-minded and keep praying for Nigeria. Like I said yesterday, I am no longer praying for Nigeria. I'm praying for my economy. I'm praying for everyone's economy, a good environment where you, including you sitting down, we are so gifted. But what the problem we have is that there are no policy. The policy of government is anti-people. We want a policy that will be friendly enough for every one of us to be able to bring all that the talents we have, or the gifts, the grace we carry, where we can be able to exhibit all of them. Once again, God bless you, and you all look good.
Thank you
so
very
much,
much,
Mr. Prosper. So you just stayed on the same line, Rachel.
Yes, so now immediately, let's not forget that this wasn't something that just came. The federal government had this plan in line, and I believe that we don't need 8 weeks, Sele. When the TUC and the NLC met at the beginning of the month and said by 19 we were going to receive a meeting, this was a period of time that I believe that things should have started rolling, and by now we should be talking about people beginning to see this palliative and some level of hardship being reduced. And now we're talking about 8 weeks, we're talking about 2 months. This is a period of time for some people to go to bed hungry. This is a period of time for people to
score. All right, please go ahead, sir.
In Nigeria, every pole, from pole to pole, there are police checkpoints everywhere. I'm a transporter. All they are doing is collect money. If you don't give them money, they will pack you. And when they pack you, they will tell you Don't come near me. Settle and go. And all the big officials, the senior personnel, they are passing and all these things happening and nobody is talking. Police will lie, will be giving you change on the road. And yes, army will employ small boys to be collecting money for them. You will see them with bottled water. They are not selling bottled water. Once you come, they say, bring money to army. And once you say you don't have money, they will tell the army man, you say, if you don't come here, stay there. From Imo State to Port Harcourt, 8 o'clock, they will block the road. If you don't pay 500 now, you will not pass. And this is a country that we call our own. Many of the military personnel are deployed on the road mainly to extract money from the motorists. And it's not hidden, it's an open wound. So these service chiefs that have been changed, I believe that change should also come to our road. From Benue State to Enugu, you have more than 300 checkpoints. From both, you will be looking at, within where you are standing, you will be seeing 4 checkpoints. The road safeties are not left behind. Once they pass, you say, bring 500 naira, they will say, driver, come to the booth. Because they don't want passengers to know what is happening. And you have to settle and go. When we are talking of increment in the fuel price, these people are not after it. All they know is to make sure that they siphon all the chain that travelers are going with. And this contributes massively to the pains of Nigerians. If you want to transport your goods, rice, yam, from one destination to the other, police will be telling you that you will pay the 5 or 1,000 naira because you carry yam. Many drivers have lost their life because they refuse to pay what the policemen are demanding on the way. And this is a country that we call our own. You cannot carry food produce from the north to the south without estimating over 300,000 naira for police. And when somebody wants to charter your vehicle, you'll be telling him that so amount must be paid to the police for the goods to be transferred to a particular destination. And nobody is saying anything. The IGs, the DCs, the AIGs, all of them are passing out and they see this nuisance. Some of the time you see a young boy will push a stick and block the road, or you're settled. And once you say you don't have, they will not block the road. They can block the road for hours. If these big men blow siren again, they will now open bush. These people will leave road to pass through the bush. To don't even want to care why this road is blocked. About last 2 months ago, in Oma, immediately after Omaya, a truck driver and his conductor were shut down. Of where they refused to part away with 500 naira. They said they had. And this matter was swept under the carpet. And these people are breadwinners. If this menace will not stop, we don't know how tomorrow will be. At the end, we may not have a country to call our own. Security issue. Sometimes in the night, I was traveling from Makodi to between 2 checkpoints, there is armed robber. Between 2 checkpoints, there will be armed robbery. And some of the time when you run to the next checkpoint, they will tell you that that place is not under their jurisdiction. That this place is their jurisdiction. What kind of thing it is? Yes, sir? Hello?
We can hear you.
I can hear you, sir.
So it's pathetic. The president should come to our aid. The road users we are suffering, coupled with the bad state of Nigerian roads. They don't have roads at all. In most of the countries, a journey that's supposed to be 1 hour, 2 hours, you use 4 hours. From Makodi to Post, it's supposed to be 45 minutes. We use 3 or 4 hours just about 90 kilometers. We use 4 hours. And in this bad road, these people will block it. Everybody will be extorting money from the driver. Please, the government should come to our aid. It's not only the fuel issue alone. The extortion on the road has gone to the highest level. It has climaxed. Everybody's after money. To the extent that when police ask you to part of money, you say, okay, just check me and allow. You say you don't have time to check you. Just settle and go. Please, the government should help us. We are Nigeria, the common Nigeria. We are feeling the bad effect of the security on the road.
Wow, this caller was really venting, and that was why I didn't get to cut him short, despite the fact I gave a time limit of 30 seconds. And this is just things that we see happening on our roads. I've been a weakness when I was using public transport, and then you hear someone on the road, one of the security will say 100 naira, and say you don't have to say they have change. And you hear them calling a junior officer to bring change. And these are things that are happening on our roads. And I think it's important that we begin to have sanitization being done. Let's begin to see a house cleaning, just the way that the president said he's out for a house cleaning on various sectors. Let us see that this house cleaning gets even to the smaller units, talking about our road and also exploitation. Hello, good morning. Please, can you turn down the volume of your TV set, sir?
Hello.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you very much, Olusele, in that studio. I've already done that just as I'm close to the TV. You know, you did not give this man 30 seconds. I think you gave him 30 hours. Let there be ethics in your operational system in Equa Television. You understand? Note the notable things and then try to make it 1 minute call. If anybody that is so interested in his own call, then I think interest is so much. At least you can grace him at least 1 minute, 30 seconds. It's better. We felt it with the man that is explaining things, you know, out of privacy. You understand? But you're supposed to make sure that, yes, this is the angle is going. Like Mr. Sam from Gwari, if he wants to speak, no matter how he is analyzing, he times himself. And, you know, so please, be a timekeeper. You understand? So that is my grievances and annoyances. Please. So other people are trying to call too.
Thank you so much to that caller. I was hoping to also hear you contribute on things that are happening on the nation, but thank you for that observation. So I think it's important that we look at the exploitation that takes place and also the welfare of our security agents. I think it's important that while we have new sovereignty, let's also look at the welfare of those who work together with them, so that we don't see them having an excuse why they keep exploiting motorists on the road, and then we begin to see that checkpoints are being checked, so we don't have fake checkpoints and all of that. All right, this will be my last call for today. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Kenneth. I'm calling from Enugu.
All right, please go ahead, sir. Can you turn down the volume of your TV set, please? All right, we lost that call. Well, that's the last call I was hoping to take for today. So, Rachel, let me take your last thoughts before we round up.
Yes, Sele, I was grateful for the previous caller that talked about the things that are happening on the Nigerian roads. Because if you are not always on the road, you won't know what is going on. That police brutality now have gone to the next level, that if you can't give money, you can lose your life. And no wonder, Sele, we have crimes increasing and we can't explain why. And this is one reason. You wonder, how did these people make their way to the villages unnoticed? It means, Sele, if I'm an arms dealer right now, it means I can pass 300 checkpoints with my arms. As long as I can be able to give them 1,000 naira at every checkpoint, I will move with my arms, go and attack whatever village I want to attack, because I know I won't be checked at the checkpoints on the road. It means there are so many people that have passed with what could harm somebody else and have gone and successfully done what they want to do, because nobody was doing their duty but rather collecting money. And this breaks my heart because now we know that people are sleeping on their job. No wonder we can't explain. There are checkpoints here. How did these people pass in? There are checkpoints here. How did they make it to these villages? There have been this explains a lot of reason. Now, it might not be the reason why everything is happening, but this has also proved that it contributes to what is happening. It means I can pass with whatever I want to pass as long as I can sort the security people on the road. And this breaks my heart. And just as you said, we just hope that the cleaning goes deep. We were thinking we were done with police soldiers collecting 100 naira and 50 naira, not knowing that it has graduated to a bigger level now, that they won't only detain you, because there are times where you will find yourself spending 1 hour, 2 hours on the road, but now you can see that motorists are losing their lives because they're not being able to. There's so much going on in the country. There's so much work to be done, and I'm just hoping and trusting the God that we have an administration that will do the work.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It's really a pleasure always doing this with you.
Thank you
to all our callers who call in today on the show. We're truly grateful for your impactful and positive, contributions on the program. Until we come here again, stay tuned for the lineup of programs.